Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate, with host Glenn Sutherland.
So this is the second part of the interview with Ray Gauthier. If you haven't listened to the first part, I'd suggest you go back and listen to it because the interview will flow right seamlessly almost into this one, so it would make a lot more sense to start with part one. Without further ado, here you go. Yeah, you should have a business card no matter what. Even if you're still starting out, get a business card that just has your name and phone number on it, and that's it.
Yeah, I've got
the
one.
Simplest, nice little simple business card.
Yeah, I got one that a guy handed me for a deal that I was working on at one of the events just last week, and it's his name. So it's a white card. It's his name, it says real estate investor, his phone number, and his email address. That's his card, but he's got a card. Right.
So you mentioned that, and it just triggered another thing. My business card, because I got it done, I bought too many of them a long time ago, and it says real estate investor on it. Like, that's what the title is.
Yeah.
And I've heard different mixed things to not say you're a real estate investor on your business card. I know I've heard that it confuses people because a lot of people will see it and they'll just assume you're a realtor and they won't ask about your business. And it's better to have something like, I fix people's housing problems, or I fix an issue, or I do something, and then it will trigger, they'll look at the business card and go, well, what does that mean? And then they'll ask into your business. Whereas when it says like in real estate investor or real estate, people they think they know your business beforehand and they don't trigger. So I've been debating switching out my cards, even though I have piles of them that I haven't given out because I ordered way too many off the start that I already want to switch it. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, or does that make any sense, or am I crazy?
It makes sense, and I've heard both schools of thought. But if you back up to the beginning of this, and who do you want to do business? Who do you want to attract? The people you want to attract know what a real estate investor is. Yeah. So it makes sense to have your title on your card.
Okay, I'm leaving it then. I don't have to get new cards.
Shoot, save you a bunch of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I saved myself another $20.
That's right. Yeah. The other thing that people ask me a lot too is like social media, right? Do I need to be on social media? And the answer is yes, you probably do. But the problem is most people, including myself, spread themselves too thin. So they get LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, right? They just try and go everywhere. And you just, as a person, unless you have a team doing that, you just can't keep up. So my recommendation to everybody is find one. Facebook is really big for real estate investors, and be active there. And what that means in social media is don't sell. It's be social, and be social isn't pumping out a whole bunch of content 5 or 6 times a day. It's put out things that people you want to attract might be interested in. But the really big thing is to participate actively in the media. So you
answer people's questions.
Yeah. Like ask questions, answer people's questions. It's more than just liking, right? And there's we call it liking the algorithm. So which is kind of a new social media term for getting noticed by getting promoted or by Facebook and LinkedIn and all those. It used to be throw lots of content, like lots of times a day. The algorithm now is all about putting people up, positioning people who have real value-added comments, and so not just like three or four word sentences, but truly like a sentence about what the other person said. Do that to 5 or 6 people. You really got to do that daily if you really want to get noticed in social media. But like have real conversations with people. It's all about real conversations now. That's what social media is. So that's my
one way to force yourself into that is if you're on Facebook, you'll get notifications of birthdays, and it's just nice to send someone a sentence or two on their birthday every year. And if you have a list of like 500 people, it's real quick that you all of a sudden have messaged 500 people every year, and if they like it, it's nice for you, it's good for everybody, and it actually works in your favor so that they will see your posts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just interact with people.
Yeah.
That's what gets you there now. I don't know if you want to get into this, but I got a bunch of resources that may not make a lot of sense on a podcast, but people ask, like, where do I get stuff? Like, what do I do? I'm starting out. I'm a real estate investor. I know I got to do stuff. I know I got to get my message right, but I just don't even know where to start. Yeah. So I talked about the email. Like, two good places to go are just Google Apps and GoDaddy. I don't know where you get you probably get yours from your server company, right? But
for what? For
just to get a real email address. So I said get a real email address.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So where do you get one? Right?
Yeah. So I have mine through my my whoever's doing my hosting.
On the design side, there's a program out there that I think is absolutely fabulous. So for design for beginners. So if you're an experienced designer, the tool sucks. But if you just want to create something that you know is going to look good, there's a program out there called Canva, CANVA.com. And you say you want to build a flyer or a banner for your Facebook page or whatever you want to build. Yeah. Any of their templates are really good right off the bat. And so you don't, and for a beginner real estate investor, it's free.
Oh,
so
perfect.
So you go in there, you say, I want a business card. It'll give you 80 free templates, and you throw your name on there, and it gives you nice fonts, and you print it off, and you send it off to Vistaprint, and it's done. It's that quick.
Awesome.
Get questions about colors. These are just tools that I use.
I love tools.
Okay, it's called Peloton. Palleton. I think it's peloton.com. You got colors you like. There's a little wheel on there. You just drag the wheel around. There's a button on there that has like 4 colors. So you pick the 4-color one, and then you spin the wheel, and it gives you 3 colors that are going to be complementary to your main color. And so you're not going to have stuff on your website or your cards or whatever that clash, because it gives you the color codes for colors that always work together. So it's a pretty good tool that way.
That is cool.
Yeah, I talked about Vistaprint. Everybody, whenever I talk about printers, just about everyone in the room puts their hand up for Vistaprint. But if you're dealing with a local printer, they got challenges with color codes and Pantones and CMYK and all that kind of stuff. Vistaprint just does this for a living, and they're easy and they're cheap. Oh, one trick for everybody too: if you do use them, always call them, because if you don't have a code, whoever you're talking to on the phone will give you the most current code that'll give you the most money off. So it's always worth the phone call.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I would also not get the free or the $10 business cards. Pay to upgrade it.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Outsourcing, there's all kinds of places, but if you do want to just get a little piece of work done, outsourced, like so not a virtual assistant or anything, Fiverr, Fiverr. It started out things were like $5, but to get like a logo design, you might be $50, and you can get a pretty decent logo for $50.
Yeah, you can get all kinds. I originally was going to do my intro with Fiverr, and I ended up just finding that some of my friends one was an audio engineer and one had a good voice.
Oh, perfect.
Voila!
Perfect. That's really good if you have that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you want like long-term stuff, there's Elance and Odesk, and there's all kinds of overseas places, but it's kind of worth doing. What else did I have? Free images. Advice for anybody who's building anything on the marketing side: never steal an image off the web, ever, 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 because their images are coded. They find out the code on the image. They find out that you've used it, and they will hound you like a dog on a bone. And it's like $800 to $1,000. Even if you don't use it anymore, they'll find it like on an old website, and they just don't let go. And so never steal an image, but there's all kinds of free places for getting images. One place called Unsplash, which is one of my favorites. Pixabay is another one, Pixabay, free images. And if you want to pay for them, the best paid service out there, although it's really expensive, is iStock. They have the most variety, but you could spend anywhere between $50 and $500 for an image. So just to do web hosting. I know it's probably worth talking about your friend if you are. You can have people email you, but there's places I would avoid because we're in that business, right? So we've had lots of clients and hosted at a whole bunch of different places. But one of my favorite for cheap hosting is called Bluehost. And then there's Wix, and then there's Squarespace that you can get. You truly can design your own website. The challenge is with anybody who's going to allow you to design your website is they don't teach you all that upfront stuff like branding. Like who am I, who do I work with, all that kind of stuff. You got to do that homework before you even think about building a website. But those are some of them.
And the thing about Wix is if you go build your website with Wix, you have to use their hosting. Otherwise, that you don't get the site. You like the designer and everything. It doesn't. You can't go move it to a different domain ever. It's with Wix forever or nothing, or you have to go start from scratch.
You start there and you end there. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And then audio. So we'll get questions about audio. So I don't know if you have a logo sting before your, or a sting before your podcast or not, but same thing. Don't steal audio. You can get for $2 or $3. You can buy a nice piece of music at audiojungle or audiblocks. And
my intro is done by my friend Rob Mann, and he plays his guitar. I have all these talented friends, and he plugged his guitar in, and we recorded off the amp right into the computer, and voila.
Really? Oh man, I just love you, Glenn. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You obviously have more friends than I do, though. So maybe the last thing I'll do is just talk a little about websites, because that's kind of the biggest one.
Yeah.
There's if you're going to build a website, and not everybody needs a website, I think you need a web presence, though. So maybe that's a LinkedIn business page, or maybe it's just a Facebook page, but you need a place for people to go to validate you. And if you want to do it for a living, do real estate investing for a living, probably a website. You just know this going in, that you're going to spend a lot of time and energy getting your message just right. Over 50% now, I think it's 58% of people are going to look at you. They're going to look at you on their phone or on their tablet. So you better make sure that you look good on a phone or a tablet. And if you use like the Bluehost or the Wix, then they're guaranteed to be responsive on tablets. Where I'm going
to cut you off before you go too far, but validating is, especially when you start talking to lenders in the States, they are going to be very suspicious that you're a scam too. It goes both ways.
Yeah, good point.
And I know that they've told me that they've checked out my website. They check out your Facebook to see who else you know, what kind of people you're associated with. They go through your stuff. They check you as well as you're checking them, because I go and check all their stuff out. But they're going to come looking for you. And if there's nothing, you're much more risk, and you're likely going to higher interest rate, because they're basing it on risk. And if you don't have a social security number, then what are they going to base it on? You can give them your Canadian one from Equifax or whatever, but it's just whatever they want to do. It's the Wild West, because you're talking to people who don't require a social insurance, social security number. So I'm sure it helps that I do this podcast for some of the rates I get for my mortgages, and just for insurance, and because they check you out, and I've talked to some of them. They've talked about my website, and they've talked about other things, and they've talked about some of my shows.
That's crazy. I never would have thought of that, but it makes sense, right? I was just thinking the relationships you want to build and the people you want to work with, but it's also the suppliers you want to deal with.
Yeah, because I have to validate them, and they want to validate me, right?
Yeah. So on the keeping people interested in you, like, you're going to lose all the energy and stuff you put in there, unless somebody really wants to figure out who you are. You're going to lose 30. You're going to use a third of them in the first 10 seconds. Like, you got 10 seconds for them to decide whether or not they're going to spend another 10 seconds with you, and then in the next 10 seconds they're going to decide what's your message. So who is this guy, or who is this person? Who's this business? So you got a full 20 seconds to really sink in. Yeah. And then the next thing is, you talked about, what do I need on my website? Is the navigation, right? So assuming that I've gone past 20 seconds, is it real easy for me to dive deeper into where I want to go? So your navigation on your website needs to be really, really intuitive and clear. That's why you have things like, my team, or my company, or who I am, or what I do, or who I do it for, so that people can find, if that's what they're interested in, they could find it really quick.
Yeah, it drives me crazy, the sites that you have to click in to get your result. You should be able to get everything in 1 click to 2 clicks, because people don't have the attention span to go find it. They'll just move on.
Yeah, and I still see websites get built with like hover, right? You move your mouse over one of the menu items, and another menu drops down. Well, so 58% of people are looking at you on the phone. Try hovering on a phone. Right? Yeah, you can't. Right? So the development of your website is pretty critical if you want people to last beyond 20 seconds. You got 40 seconds, and then you're talking about your why. So this is the relationship piece. Is this the type of the person that I want to deal with? And if they stick around past that, that's when you can offer them something. And it's got to be something for free. We live in a free world. It's got to be a really, really, really easy yes. And that easy isn't come to a webinar. That easy isn't book an appointment with me. That easy is click here to get something free. So if you want to start initiating a relationship with someone, you need to have something that's interesting to the people you want to attract, and it's free, and that's the start of the relationship.
I get so much mail because and from like, you know, not like slow mail, like snail mail. I'm talking like email, and even from wholesalers. If it's like I have to click from the email to their website and then log into their website, I don't even go because I don't have time for that. So I want the email to show up with the house and a basic breakdown and a link if I want more details. That's what I want. I don't want to go even into their website to check stuff. I don't want them to say, like, I get ones that say, there's new houses, click here to go into the website. Forget it. I'm not doing it.
Because I've got 50 more similar emails in my inbox. Right?
I want to just glance at it, see if it's even close to my deal criteria, and then I'll analyze it.
Yeah, so that's I guess that's the point of the navigation on finding things on your website too, is like understand that people are not going to invest a lot of time in you until they know who you are. So make it really easy for them to get to know who you are.
Before we go, let's talk about your company.
Well, we're starting up, so we're only 6 months into it really, and we're working partners. We invest in multi-unit residential in the Kingston and Burlington area, Belleville area, and we're looking for joint venture partners that have money, can qualify for mortgages, and have the money to get the deal going. That's what we do.
If someone's interested in that, how would they get a hold of you? You want to give them some details?
Sure, yeah. Well, they can reach out to me directly. It's ray@propertysense.ca, or they can go to the website, propertysense.ca, and find out a little about who we are. I mean, there's an easy yes on the bottom if they want to download a calculator. If you go to the inside page, there's some easy yeses for some tips and stuff like that, and then feel free to reach out. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person when you're up front of the room in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's a great thing I should mention. So for people, I'm going to put this out on Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, just try and give people a little bit more time. I usually release on Wednesdays. But I'm going to be speaking at the Cambridge Conference Center November 28th. I believe it starts at 7. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 6:30 is a good time to show up.
6:30 is good, yeah, so for the networking stuff. And then I think we start speaking at 7.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for coming out, Ray. Like this is a great episode.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to both episodes with Ray Gauthier. Like we mentioned in the show, I will be doing a presentation at the Cambridge Conference Center on November 28th. If you have any interest in going, please send me an email. Just because Doug Scott, who runs the meetup, would like to know the numbers beforehand, just so he books the right room. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Bye.